If you are watching this, do not go looking for the Blackwood Point Observation Tower. We thought we were just urban explorers looking for a thrill. We thought the worst thing we'd find was rust, or maybe the police. But we were wrong. The building didn't just want us inside. It wanted us to stay, and by the time we realized the exit was gone, it was already too late for one of us. My name is Alex. This story takes place 3 months ago, in late October. It was a Friday night, the kind where the air feels heavy and the wind cuts through your jacket. I was with my 2 best friends, Sarah and Mark. We were part of the Urbex community. We'd done factories, hospitals, even old subway tunnels. We knew the rules. But this place was different. It was deep in the woods of Blackwood Point. Locals called it the Watcher's Tower. It was built in the 70s, but abandoned in the 90s. We parked the car on a hidden road around 11:00 p.m. The plan was simple: get photos and leave. We had our flashlights, our cameras, and a map on Mark's phone. At first, it felt like any other exploration. The woods were quiet, save for the snapping of twigs. But about 20 minutes into the hike, the atmosphere shifted. Mark stopped walking. He shined his flashlight into the darkness. "Did you guys hear that?" he asked. Sarah and I froze. "Hear what?" I whispered. "Footsteps," Mark said, "behind us, like heavy boots." We listened. Then came the sound of a dry branch breaking. Snap. It came from the direction we had just walked from. I laughed nervously, but the fun was draining out. You know that feeling? The instinct that you are being watched? 5 minutes later, we broke through the tree line, and there it was, the Watcher's Tower. It looked wrong. "Okay," Sarah said, shining her light on the door. "Let's get this over with." The door was jammed, but it gave way. We stepped inside. The ground floor was one large concrete room. It smelled like wet mold and old copper. But there was something else. Fresh scratches, deep gouges in the concrete, as if something had been trying to claw out. Sarah was pointing at the floor, footprints in the thick dust, and they weren't ours. They were bare, human. Then we heard it, a soft rolling sound from above. Thump, drag. Mark checked his phone. "It's a dead zone." Against every instinct, I started climbing. The sound of our boots was deafening. The stairs zigzagged up. On the 2nd floor, the sound stopped. In the center was a single wooden chair, and on the chair, a mannequin. On the 2nd floor, the sound stopped. In the center was a single wooden chair, and on the chair, a mannequin. It was plastic, cracked, with painted features, dressed in a dirty flannel shirt. Mark thought it was just a prank. But then I saw it. It was wearing a watch, a digital watch, and it was glowing. It was working. 11:47 p.m. We bolted for the stairs. The lights from our flashlights began to flicker in a pattern, like a code. Then, total darkness. We made it to the 1st floor and ran for the door. It wouldn't budge. "Open it!" Sarah screamed. It felt welded shut. Then, we saw it on the night vision. Standing in the shadows was a pair of legs. Pale, bare, covered in scratches. The thing was gray and waxy, with twisted joints and a wide smile. It pointed at Sarah. "Sarah," it rasped. "Don't go." The creature lunged. I grabbed a piece of rebar and swung. It hit the wall. Go up," I yelled. We scrambled back. We ran to the top deck. We were trapped. Door locked below. "We have to jump," Mark shouted. It was a 60-foot drop. "No, there!" I pointed to the maintenance hatch. I grabbed the handle. With a groan of metal, it popped open. The creature was standing on the landing. It started to cry. Big black tears rolled down its waxy cheeks. "Alex," it whimpered. "Please, don't leave me. I'm so cold." It sounded exactly like my brother Danny. My grip on the hatch loosened. "Come here, Alex," it said. Then I saw its hands. They were backward. The palms were facing outward. I snapped out of it. I scrambled through the hatch. We slammed it shut and locked it. We could hear the thing screaming as we climbed down. We hit the ground and we ran. We ran through the woods until we saw the car. We didn't stop. We just drove. We drove for 3 hours straight until we hit a diner. It was 6 a.m. We sat in a booth, shaking uncontrollably. Mark pressed the playback button. The video showed the stairs, the chair, but there was no mannequin. There was no creature. The footage showed me swinging the bar into empty air, hitting the wall. We sat in silence. "We're crazy," Mark whispered. I let out a breath. "Let's just go home," I said. "Burn the footage. Forget this happened." It was a relief. Just hallucinations. I got home an hour later. I went into the bathroom to wash my face. As I splashed the water, I looked down at the drain. Something floated up out of the drain. A digital watch. 11:47 p.m., the exact time we saw on the mannequin. I dropped it in the sink. Then, I heard my brother's voice from my bedroom. Sitting on my bed, facing the corner, was the mannequin. It turned its head. Then, my front door. The deadbolt turned by itself. We brought the monster to the tower, and it followed us back,